welcome everyone. This is our third CCE call out of our emotional intelligence series. So far we've covered the 4 quadrants of emotional intelligence, which was more about the relationship to self. And then we covered who's in charge, which covers more relationship to other. Today's topic is on mastery. And this topic brings us more into relationship to all that is. So first off, I just wanted to check in. Did anybody get a chance to use who's in charge or have any questions since our last class?
Yeah, and I hope I didn't overstep bounds. I have a friend who is doing a program on resiliency, and I shared that with her to look at, and she asked if I would kind of go through it a little. And these are people from, we have one in Alaska, one in Colorado, one in Canada, California, and I forget the other one. But anyway, I think that was probably so beneficial because it really brought to light. And it also helps when you think about the way we react to things.
Yeah.
Who's in charge? Is it that little 7-year-old who's a brat?
Yes. Yeah, thank you for sharing. And I love it when we share any of the tools to help. So please feel free to share.
Oh, and I mean, Sandy was given, I put all her information on, so.
Great. Yeah.
I always make sure of that. But they really loved it because it's something totally different because none of them were coaches.
Okay. Got it. Wonderful. So today we're going to start off with a teaching that I came across in a book about Toltec wisdom. And it's called Victim, Warrior, Master. We're going to be looking at each, and we're going to be looking at each through the lens of coaching and also integration milestones for our clients. So first of all, we start off with victim, and I want to explain what this means. In this teaching, victim is seen as we come into the world dependent on our parents, and we need them to take care of us. So you can see victim because it's characterized by dependence or insecurity or uncertainty. Tabitha, do you have an example of victim in terms of coaching?
Yes. So I recently had a client a couple of months ago hit a pretty big roadblock in her job. She's an insurance agent, and so 100% commission, and they have chargebacks. And she just had one of those months of a ton of chargebacks, and so much so that her company froze her from any advances. And so single mom, no money, rent's due, right? So she was very much in that victim place of, I have no options, I need to, I don't have security, there's no security, it's gone. And seeking some type of dependence, really questioning, instead of her heart that she has this bigger, amazing goal, I'm going to have to start bartending or be a waitress, to make ends meet.
Nice. Yeah. I often look for phrases. I call them victim phrases in my clients, like, well, but here's the thing.
Yeah, the buts. I love those.
Yeah. Here's the thing. That won't work for me. Or, so you could, it's some place that our clients can get caught. So we're going to look at how to help them move on to the next phase.
The shoulds, when people are starting to should on themselves, right? Well, but I should. So it starts with the yeah, but, and then the should.
Yep. All right. So then we have the next phase, which is warrior. The warrior phase is where we start to individuate. We start to come into our own human being with our own belief systems, and we start to step into our own power and take a stand for our life. Examples of warrior: taking a stand against a boss, taking a stand for what you need,
I have an example of one today, actually. So
Great.
it's fresh. I was in a very minor rear ending a couple of months ago. Very low impact. I'm totally fine, guys. But I had some back pain. There was whiplash back pain. Anyway, through a lot of series of drama, I decided to hire a friend that's a personal injury attorney because insurance companies knew, it needed to happen. Well, yesterday I got a call from my attorney that they're claiming that I've been weightlifting, that I've been horseback riding, none of which is true, by the way. But they're attacking my integrity. They think that I'm, doing insurance fraud, basically. So yesterday, where do you think I was? Victim. And so today I called my attorney again, and I said, you know what? Integrity is really important to me. It's my number one value. And so I don't appreciate them questioning my integrity. Would they like to meet me? I'm happy to do an in-person interview. I am happy to show them any pictures from the last 2 months. Like, this is ridiculous, and I will not stand for this.
Nice.
How are we going to solve it? Because this is not my case.
Yeah, very good example. Yeah. Thank you. And a personal one, too.
Way better than yesterday, by the way.
Right. All right. So the last phase that we look at is master. Master is characterized when by the traits of seeing a bigger picture. So you see big picture problem solving. You're taking more into account. I also call this integrative intelligence because we're looking at something, we're seeing how it connects to all things and considering all things before moving forward. We also operate from our internal knowledge and understanding and wisdom. And there's a harmony with relationship to all that is that's present, even through hard times. Any examples of mastery?
I have a client that years ago, her now ex-husband became addicted to heroin. She had mentioned a couple times before that he had a diagnosis that, his kidney is going to fail, his liver, like he's a young man that probably won't make it another year because of his choices. And so it was the first time she walked into coaching totally masterful. And she said, I've filed the papers for full, they're divorced and everything, but I guess it's not full custody. It's separation of parental duties, or so that he's completely out of it. I filed the papers. I hired the private investigator. I've chosen to face the reality that he probably will die in the next year or two, and that I will have to, raise our daughter without him in her life. She just was so masterful. And I asked her, I'm like, how do you feel as you say that? She's like, I just accept it. I'm ready. I know it'll be sad when he passes, but it just is. It's the choices he made. I couldn't have stopped him. And it's like the first time she didn't go into the victim place and, if only I had done this, or it's so beautiful to see her step into that.
Yeah, nice. That's a great example. So the question is, in coaching, where do we coach from? And where do we coach to? And I'm wondering, I want to open it up to everyone. Have you experienced those moments where just the mastery just flows? It comes through. It just feels like there's an energy present. Rebecca says on chat, yes, very rich.
I like that word rich.
Yeah.
Very rich. I feel there's also like a silence, like a calm silence to it.
Cornelia, it looks like you're on mute.
Sorry, the cat was chatting and I wanted to
Yes.
It's funny when you said, where do you coach from and where do you coach to? I was thinking of, as you looked at the client, you looked at yourself, where were you on that spectrum? And There's an interesting thought. With the example that she just gave, if the clients have asked her, you're at Warrior, or you just had a bad something, and you're walking into the coaching session as a victim, is it something, I think that's something where we need to kind of check ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But can both exist simultaneously in different spaces?
I would think so, if we're really being true and authentic.
Mm-hmm.
My concern would be if you as the coach are not in the right place, you could do a disservice to your client.
So I think there's an integrity within each coach to know if they can't coach in that moment, if they can't separate into that masterful place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting is that we're going to go over today, there's lots of tools to help people reach the new milestone and to integrate and to evoke the master. But once our client is operating from mastery, the tools fall away, and pure coaching is the best way to support them. Just pure coaching. They will have access to their own inner tools at that point. And what we can look at then is also how can we help them stay in that role. So that's that helping a client sustain long-term success. Right? Because life gives us plenty of opportunities to pop us back into warrior
Or victim.
or victim. Yes, so we'll look at that.
I like that. Plenty of opportunities.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's look at the role of the warrior. We're going to start here. Victim's pretty obvious, but warrior is what helps us get out of victim. So warrior is an interesting dynamic. A lot of people can come to coaching in warrior. So I really want to go into this more. What do you see could be the destructive side of warrior?
Anger.
So speaking as someone who frequently gets into that warrior mode, myself, what I realize I sometimes do is roll over people when I'm in that role. When I think really, really strongly about something or a process or a way forward. And that's a negative part of being a warrior. It's also a way of being assertive. And I can say, for me, it oftentimes comes from, gee, I haven't been heard, so I'm going to make myself heard.
Yeah.
Kind of role, kind of position. So that's what moves someone in. So I'm speaking as someone, I'm going to be very transparent. I can very much be a warrior at times.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and Rebecca on the chat says, too aggressive and the client can feel defensive.
Could also be you as the coach have a mindset of this is how it should be, and it's not open or listening to what your client says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You have the agenda versus the client.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I would say that it's best not to be a warrior when you're in a client with a client. And personally, I hope that I don't do that when I'm in that relationship. So I will say, though, that I will be that way when I'm not in a client conversation sometimes.
So
I'm
we're going to...
very transparent about my own personality. I'm totally aware about it.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And we're going to make a distinction about warrior in a minute so that we can see when is warrior positive and when's it negative. So with this in mind, there's a positive and a negative. What could be the positive aspects of warrior? We've looked at some of the downfalls.
My favorite is how the Enneagram book calls it holy anger.
Only anger.
Holy, H-O-L-Y.
So like a constructive Like you use the anger for constructive means?
Like Martin Luther King Jr., we got to fight for change.
Oh,
type,
okay.
like ending
Got it.
and, human rights and women's rights and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Could it also from the warrior perspective, engaging the client more in the sense of the gentle nudge of, you can see they can go further. It's like, come on, don't
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Absolutely. Determination, encouragement,
Yes,
taking a stand. Mm-hmm. Yep. Rebecca added overcoming obstacles and you keep going. So that's a positive aspect of warrior. All right. So here's the distinction. There's a destructive side of warrior that we want to be careful about because it pushes against life. It's fighting against. However, if we're stepping into the constructive side of warrior, we're protecting life. We fight for something, not against something. And here's the further distinction, how you can catch where you're at. Are you rebelling for yourself, or are you rebelling for a cause? Are you taking a stand for a greater cause? So this is really good to be aware of in your clients, because if you can help them, if they're stuck in the destructive warrior, you can help them transition to the constructive warrior. So as you can see, warrior can serve a purpose. It pulls us out of victim. Warrior is required before master can surface. So that's really important, taking that stand. Duality, because we're in the world of duality, needs to be experienced before we can experience that singularity and we become aware of how we're all connected. So let's go deeper into the role of warrior and make a further distinction. As you can see on the screen, warrior, when we step from victim, we step first typically into warrior victim. So you could say that is warrior egocentric. It's about the self still. So when I let my daughter know I can't take you to the mall today, something came up at work and she gets angry and starts taking a stand for why she needs to go to the mall right now, right? Victim warrior still. Like and then we're looking ideally to come into warrior master. If we're just all blissed out on top of the mountain, the people that need protection maybe wouldn't be getting protection. If there's a child being abused, someone's got to take a stand and say, no, not okay. It depends on which side of the spectrum we're coming from as to whether or not it can be masterful and more effective. So in integral theory, we believe, and in coaching, that we're born whole and complete. Mm-hmm. And then we experience a wounding, our first wounding, and we experience separation. We experience fear. It's an inner fragmentation that occurs. So all of a sudden, our first wounding, we think, oh my gosh, I'm separate and I can be hurt. And we experience separation. As we move forward in life, we learn to reclaim our power. We learn how to step into that sense of self. And when we start weaving aspects of ourself, like bringing all aspects of self in, we start integrating. We start including all aspects of self and looking at all aspects. Full integration means that we're living through our wholeness. We've returned to our wholeness and our awareness of our connection to all that is. That fragmentation, the pushing against, starts to fall away more and more. So in coaching, we are a reminder of the client's wholeness, right? We're reminding them they have power within, and they can include all aspects of self. We create that safe space. So we're helping them to integrate, and we're inviting them to include all aspects of self, to broaden their awareness from the I to the we, how they're showing up in life. This is also a very powerful model for leaders. If you have a leader in warrior victim, ouch. If you have a leader taking a stand from warrior master, wow. right? So in terms of coaching, when do you see people most coming into coaching on this spectrum?
I would say warrior victim.
Yeah,
Although I will say that sometimes, for example, I'm thinking how Raytheon, when they are bringing clients and coaches together, oftentimes those clients are not warrior victims, but rather warrior masters, or they're on that path towards that mastery. And it's all about even becoming more of a master, if you will.
And it can be different for different people. And depending on how much self-development work they've done or self-awareness work, it can really make a difference.
So the client can move back and forth on that line.
They can. Yep.
we can move pretty fast on that line, even in a few minutes, I think.
Okay.
How does Laurel say life gives us many opportunities?
I love that. Is that kind of like when our mother said it's character building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So what I want to bring into the conversation is integration milestones. So seeing these as milestones. Once a client's gotten more and more into the warrior master, the more they can operate from that space and bring warrior master into life that happens, those opportunities. So let's say I'm going along, things are great, and then there's layoffs. Now, if we've helped coach them into their integration, they're coming from a solid core, it's much easier to handle life setbacks than if we're stuck still in the warrior victim pushing against life. So in today's conversation, we're going to be looking at the tools to get the client through these milestones and into mastery. So some questions to ask yourself as a coach. Where could my client be stuck? Where might they be operating from? Another one that's really powerful is what areas in my client's life, are they already operating in mastery? Or have they in the past? And then how can they apply this experience into other areas of their life? So this is the basic framework, and you just want to know it. It's going on in the background, and as you use tools to help your clients integrate, this is what's going on in the background. You're helping them reach these milestones even if you're not consciously aware of it. This is an integrative tool helping bring our clients more and more into their own mastery.